This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. In news from the crime beat, police in the capital have their hands full with another homicide which occurred Tuesday. Police say it was shortly after 11 p.m. when two men were at Ash Lane Pinewood Gardens in the vicinity of Mount Tabor Church when they were approached by a man who was known to them, shot them, and ran away. Both men were transported to hospital, and a short time later, one of them succumbed to his injuries. The second man is in stable conditions. Meantime, police are investigating a police-involved shooting early this morning, which resulted in an adult male being shot. According to reports, shortly after 1 a.m., police officers were on the inside of the Carmichael Road police station when they heard a crashing sound on the outside. They made checks and discovered that the driver of a burgundy Ford Explorer had crashed into a vehicle in the parking lot. Officers attempted to assist the driver when he accelerated the vehicle in their direction, attempting to hit them. The officers, being in fear for their lives, fired their service weapons in the direction of the male who sped away. A short time later, the vehicle crashed into a light pole on Carmichael Road near Sir Milo Butler Highway. Officers discovered that the man had been shot. He was transported to hospital where he is listed in stable conditions. Investigations are ongoing. Education officials are wondering how the Inter-American Development Bank came to the conclusion that Hurricane Dorian caused $72 million in damages to schools in Grand Bahama and Abaco. According to Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd, his initial estimates was some $40 million.
Our initial estimate was in the $40 million range, but at the time that I made that announcement, I did say that the assessments were continuing. I should have better information with the assistance of the Ministry of Works.
The Education Minister further opined that teachers in the affected areas are receiving counseling.
We have been working with two NGOs in particular, but we also have in the ministry an employee assistance program which is populated by psychologists and guidance counselors who have been working with our teachers and our students in their affected circumstances. We are also very grateful to Israel Aid, which is an NGO out of Israel who is specialists in trauma recovery, and they have been training our guidance counselors and psychologists, firstly in the skill of self-care, but also to assist in those teachers and students and others who would be needing help. There's also an NGO called ADRA. They have been very helpful to us in terms of providing psychological assistance.
Additionally, the Education Minister says the assistance being offered will continue for some time. National Security Minister Marvin Dames says law enforcement officers are always concerned when there are complaints of abuse by law enforcement officers. This following complaints from migrants of abuse by Royal Bahamas Defense Force officers. Well, Minister Dames encourages anyone with complaints to report them to the authorities.
If a complaint has been filed, obviously it will be looked into. We don't brush any complaints aside. You know, everything is investigated, and we determine whether there is a validity or otherwise.
His comments follow a video that made the rounds on social media of law enforcement officers hammering some Haitian nationals about their status. However, Minister Dames assures that all complaints made are thoroughly investigated. Our final story is up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.